You're this perp back with another video. Just got done watching the actual season finale to The Walking Dead season 10. I thought it ended with 16, but they decided to throw a bunch of filler episodes. But one of those filler episodes, I don't think you could consider it filler, but one of the episodes I have been waiting for is this episode right here, where we get the backstory of one of the best villains of all time, Negan. Does this live up to the hype? Does this, change things about The Walking Dead? No, it doesn't change things about The Walking Dead, but this was such a dope episode. It makes me miss how The Walking Dead was in earlier seasons. It definitely gave you those vibes. And like I said, I skipped all those other episodes, but I was just waiting for this, and I definitely wanted to talk about it because Negan is one of my favorite characters from The Walking Dead. Probably my favorite next to Rick. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people don't like Negan, but I feel like if they watch this, they will understand exactly why Negan is the way he is. So before we get into Negan's actual backstory, there's a scene of Carol taking him out to this cabin where he's pretty much been banished because Maggie has come back. Doesn't really explain why she left in the first place. I could be wrong about that, but it's a shitty excuse either way if she did explain it. I think she should be put on trial just for that. That's just me aside. But Carol did Negan a solid, saying, like, I'd rather you just be out of the way completely compared to you just being killed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been some time, and Negan has really kind of pulled his weight, but with Maggie being back, that just kind of makes things kind of unsettled, if that makes any sense. So then we get this really cool scene before we get into Negan's actual backstory, where it's Negan with the bat and everything, Lucille, and he's looking at the fire, and he's kind of like talking to himself and telling himself that whole persona that he had was him kind of being a clown. He admits that it's very over the top and it's silly. It was kind of ridiculous. So now we get into Negan's whole backstory. We go 12 years earlier into the past, right in the midst of the whole zombie outbreak. He's with his wife, and what the cool thing about this whole episode is he got his actual wife, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's actual wife, plays Lucille in this episode. And I think she did a fantastic job playing Negan's wife. So she has cancer, and he's trying to take care of her as much as he can, until she gets better, doing the whole chemo thing. He gets caught up with this biker gang, and they want to find out where he's getting all this medicine, and he's not really breaking. So then they do a lot of jumping around in this episode. That was a little annoying, a little nitpick of this episode, way too much jumping around. But you see where he was trying to pretty much steal some of this medicine from these doctors that are in this mobile home, which I'm assuming that's where he kind of got the whole trailer from, when you see him pull up at the end of season 6. Interesting stuff. He gets clocked over the head, and he's chained or handcuffed to this chair, and he's explaining his whole situation with his wife. And that's where we go another time skip, another time jump, like 2 days, 3 days before he even crosses paths with these people. There was just a lot of dope moments between Negan and his wife, and you just really see how much he cared about his wife, even though he did do her grimy. When we do another little time jump, like right before the outbreak, or right in the middle of the outbreak, where, he lost his job. He used to be a gym teacher. He lost his job by getting into a fight with somebody, and they do explain that fight, which was really dope. I'll get into that towards the end, but he's kind of staying at home while his wife has to kind of take care of everything, and he's actually also cheating on his wife at the same time, where there's a scene in this episode where Lucille asks him to come with her to find out her diagnosis, and he kind of makes up some bullshit, and it's a whole lie. And that was really heartbreaking, because it's like nobody wants to go through that or get that news that, man, I got cancer. And I love this scene where she's just sitting down waiting for him to come back home, and in one hand she has cancer pamphlets, and in the other one she has a gun, which in her head she's probably thinking, like, should I just shoot him and just kill him and get over with, or should I do the other option and tell him this, that, and the third. And we flash back to where they're in the basement, all boarded up, while he's taking care of her, and he's kind of heartbroken. Like he was kind of shocked, like, damn, you knew this whole time that I was kind of cheating on you and doing all this once I found out that you had cancer. Very emotional stuff. So then we go back to him being kind of interrogated by these biker gangs, trying to figure out where these people are at. So he kind of caves and just says, this is where you can find them at. They let him go. But before he can get back to his wife, because that's the whole thing, he wants to get back to his wife to make sure she's okay. And man, this really hurt me. And before he leaves off, you see the trailer right there, and you hear screaming and stuff. He could have gone in there and kind of intervened, but he decided no, his wife was more important at that moment. Once he gets there, he realizes that his wife turns into a walker. And man, when I tell you, I got kind of really choked up and emotional watching this episode and seeing that he couldn't even kill his own wife. That's the one thing about Negan back then, is like, he still cared about people even though they turned into walkers. His wife had no problem blowing these walkers' heads off, but seeing his wife like that was so sad to me, man. That really got to me. And you can honestly see that this is what really broke Negan and why he is the way he is when you first meet him. And even going down to like the jacket that he wears, he got that from his wife, so he's always kept that with him. But he's also kept the bat around, and he called Lucille. He uses the bat as kind of like a coping mechanism, and I love that about Negan. And so he goes back to that bar, and the other guy that's kind of like the doctor, he's getting beat up and interrogated. He's able to kind of get out of the chair and cracks the dude. While this I'm just gonna skip right to it, but Negan gets his first kill, but after he gets his first kill, he gets this guy that's been interrogating him, and he's the reasoning why Lucille died. He gets him on his knees, and this is classic Negan. This is the beginning stages of who Negan is, and he's sitting there explaining the story on why he got fired, and just the connection with his wife, that he was willing to do whatever it took to make her happy. He blacked out on this guy, and I loved the way he pretty much told this guy, you should have killed me. Sort of similar to how Thanos was telling Thor, you should have aimed for the head. So he cracks dude, and we go back to present time, because this whole time when he gets banished, he's kind of looking for Lucille, and once he kills this one walker, he realizes that Lucille, his bat, is split into two. It's no good. And I was really feeling it for Negan as a whole. And he kind of puts Lucille to rest. He just says, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry for naming a bat after you. And he kind of just, accepts that he lost Lucille all those years ago, but he loves her. And that's all that was about, like him putting on that kind of persona. So the episode ends with him coming back to the group and knowing that there's tension between him and Maggie. He goes up to Carol and says, you know what, I'm not really feeling that whole being banished. I'll just deal with what comes to me. And Carol's like, fine, if she's gonna want to kill you. So that's pretty much how the episode ends, and he ends with a smirk too. I love it. That really goes to show you that The Walking Dead can still produce some fantastic episodes, but they definitely have lost their way getting up until this point. This was one of the best episodes of Walking Dead in such a long time. It just brings everything full circle for Negan's character, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the final season, if he's going to play a bigger part. But if you've seen this episode, what are your thoughts? I know a lot of people have fallen off of Walking Dead, but I'm curious to see how people feel about this episode. But until next time, I'll see y'all later.